Little buddy on my arm here. Hey, sweetie. All right, so it's getting a little bit late. It's about 20 minutes before dark. And there's bees going in and out of the swarm trap. But it still seems like most of them are right here. I don't know, I haven't seen the queen. She may be there. Seems kind of late to me for them to be swarming. Hi, this is Bruce. Man, hot and tired today. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about robbing. Thieves going after your stuff. Robbing. Bees are all about scent. They smell stuff beautifully. They smell really well. Sometimes if they're in the robbing mode, they'll go a long way. Now, robbing behavior, bees are opportunistic creatures. So if they smell an opportunity, they'll take it. The big problem comes when there's a little bit of a dearth, when there's not as much flowers blooming, not as much nectar coming in. Here in Florida, stuff blooms pretty much all year, but we have these mini dearths throughout the year, and it can be a real problem. And when the bees are seeking out something to eat, they'll look for somebody weaker than them. So if you can picture a scout bee out doing its job, she's out looking, and she comes across a hive that's young and small, she'll dash right in past the guard bees if she can. And she'll run right up to the honey. She'll rip some of the cappings off, grab her honey stomach full of honey, and then she'll run on back to her own hive. And when she gets back to her hive, she'll start doing her waggle dance to tell the others that there is unguarded a treasure. And once she does her dance, the others hear where it is, they're all going to go and see. If you have a young hive that is not real strong, maybe it's a new split, something like that, they will go in and they'll take it over. Other things that'll trigger it, I mean, not just having a guard sense a weaker hive. Robbing is triggered by the smell of honey. When the smell of honey is in the air, bees go crazy robbing everything. Today I harvested just 4 frames, just a little bit off the top, just to get a couple jars here, and my goodness, I triggered some robbing. A lot of times it's the beekeeper that triggers the robbing response in the bees. If you're opening a hive and you accidentally spill honey on the inside, sometimes that causes a robbing situation. If you're open feeding your bees, sometimes that causes it, because a lot of times when they do the waggle dance, if the source of food is close to the hives, maybe 50 feet, they'll just say, oh, it's right close by, and the other bees will dash out and then they'll smell it and go right to it. So open feeding can make that feeding frenzy of robbing behavior that will sometimes cause them to go after the weaker hives too. Beekeepers, a lot of times beekeepers will use like a entrance feeder, and having that smell of food right close to the entrance of a small hive especially, a lot of times will cause them to rob it, okay? Yeah, I mentioned new splits. Oh, how do you know you got robbing behavior? you walk up to your hive and you see a lot of activity around the hive. Now, get to know your hive, because sometimes you see activity that's not robbing. Like, for example, if a whole bunch of baby bees are born, you have that orientation flight behavior where you see all these bees and they're all facing the hive and they're getting their little GPSs set so they can come right back to it. That's not robbing. No, when you see robbing, you'll see bees rushing in and out. You'll see them fighting. You'll see it looks like WWE wrestlers tumbling around, rolling and trying to ball each other up. A lot of times you'll see dead bees on the landing board, on the top of the hive, on the ground right in front of the entrance. That's where they've been fighting. They've been trying to defend, and they died fighting for their hive. A lot of times when you have robbing going on, it attracts other predators. It'll attract your yellow jackets and wasps, sometimes hornets, and they'll go right into the weak hive and they'll rob also. They're killing as much as they can, as well as taking the honey. You'll hear a roaring sound. You'll hear like there's a kind of a bee in distress sound that you'll actually hear when there's robbing going on. And finally, when you look closely at the bees as they're fighting and tumbling around, you'll see how the bees suddenly start looking real shiny and black. What that is as they've been fighting, a lot of their hair is getting ripped off their body, and you're seeing the dark skin underneath the hair. It's a terrible thing having this robbing. All right, well, so if I have robbing going on, what can I do? How can I stop it? I mean, if it's going on real bad, the bees are getting real excited. I might menace my neighbor, you know. I might menace my neighbor's kids, something like that, if they're close by. One way to stop some of the robbing is throw a sheet over the hive and wet it down. That'll do two things. One, it'll cool down the hive as it evaporates, but two, the bees on the inside, they can eventually find their way out, but no more robbers can find their way in. Another thing you might do, you can close off the entrance of the hive entirely. And what will happen is, over time, the bees that are inside the hive are going to, the robber bees that are inside will either die off or they will convert to become members of that hive. So you might have to leave it shut for 2 or 3 days. Robbing screens is a good way to go. And I'll show you making robbing screens. Some people have said that you can confuse the bees by putting something like Vicks Vapor Rub in the entrance, because that'll mask the scent. I've never tried that. I don't know if that works or not. It might be worth a try. So, robbing behavior, it's a problem, but it's not something we can't overcome. You need to recognize it, and you need to help out your bees. All right, thanks. This is Bruce. Hello. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make some robbing screens. I've got a couple of different types of nukes here. I'll show you why I'm going to do it. I've got some bees kind of hanging around bugging me right now, and I think they're a little bit mad. I got some robbing going on because of some honey I pulled yesterday and all. So if they get too bad, I might have to put a veil on, but I'm going to try it like this for now, for the camera. So, all right, so first of all, I'm getting ready to do splits. And so I've got some nuke boxes that are set up like this with that kind of an entrance disc. And I've got some nuke boxes set up like this, where it's got a screen bottom board that's attached permanently down to the bottom. And for the entrance, it's got a permanent entrance like that. So I'm going to show you how to do robbing screens for both these style of nukes. So I'll do this one first. This is 1/8 inch hardware cloth, and when I make my screen bottom boards, this is just scrap left over. And this is just about perfect to make a robbing screen out of. So for this one here, I'm going to start with the bottom. Bee, you better leave me alone. This is hardly scientific stuff here. Okay, so this is just a 3/4 inch square board that I cut on the table saw. No rocket science here. So for this one here, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to nail these right here like that. Just little finishing nails here. Can you see all right? Just kind of centered out a little bit. Kind of look which way the grain is going so I don't split this. About like that. And I'll start them down here, maybe it'll be easier. Okay, my hardware cloth. Okay, I'm just going to staple this on. Okay, now since the staplers didn't quite go all the way down, maybe I'll put one more in the middle there. Okay, so the way this works, say I put a split in here, and this is full of young bees that are not real strong yet. What'll happen is that if the bees decide to try and rob them, if the other bees decide to rob them, the other bees are going to come right to here. They're going to come here because the scent coming out of that hole is what'll attract them. Now the bees that are inside this little small nuke colony, they'll come out the hole. They'll say, oh man, I got a screen in front of me. They'll walk up and then they'll fly out. The robber bees won't do that because this is not their hive. All they know is the smell of honey that's coming out of that hole. And so they'll just stick here and they won't be able to rob it. They won't be able to come up here and find their way down inside. So that's this style of robbing screen. Now I'm going to be doing splits next week, and so when I do my splits, these nuke boxes, I'll leave this on until it's time to move them to a bigger colony. So you'll see these on my colonies once I do my splits. Okay, so this one here is a little different, right? So I have to do it a little bit differently here. So I've got this this little skinnier scrap here. So I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to probably trim this down a little bit. I'll do that in a minute. I'll do that in a little bit. But so I'm going to say, man, now I got flies bothering me. It was bees bothering me a few minutes ago. So I'm going to put this here and use that for a straight edge and fold this guy here. So I'm going to fold this like 90 degrees. But before I do a final one, I'm just going to staple it down. This upside down gun always throws me off. My other guns are set up differently. Well, I didn't get it real close to the end, but that's okay. I'll work with it. Okay, now I'm just going to fold this guy up. Yeah, see if I can get it straighter than that. And I'll probably come back later and trim this down some more. Okay, so that's it. All I'm going to do is I'll trim that off flush, and I'll trim that off flush here. And that's robbing screens on these two nuke boxes. All right, I'll talk to you soon.